The rush of water through sluice gates, the creak of lock keys, the bump of a boat against the quayside, the cry of a moorhen, or splash of a pike as it takes the hook. These are all part of the repertoire of sounds that would be familiar to travelers on the Grand Canal more than 200 years ago. Today, these same sounds carry us back in time and help us understand our history. We can hear the poet Patrick Kavanagh's words echo across the years. O unworn world, enrapture me. Encapture me in a web of fabulous grass and external voices by a beach. Feed the gasping needs of my senses. Give me ad lib to pray unself-consciously with overflowing speech. The Grand Canal brings the city and the wider world to the very heart of the Irish countryside. For almost 100 years, it was also the source of fresh, clean water for the thirsty citizens of Dublin. Work began on the canal in 1756. Thomas Omer, who surveyed the route from Dublin to Shannon, was also the first engineer on the project. He deliberately routed it through a limestone quarry to make it easier to transport the stone for building locks, bridges, and quays along the line. He also designed many fine lock houses. The canal was a challenging construction project, and today it is a unique example of its kind in the world. With no modern machinery available, it was built mostly with pick and spade. 7,000 labourers worked on the canal, earning wages of 17 pennies per day. One stretch through the Bog of Allen took 10 long years to complete. The 131-kilometre length from Dublin to Shannon Harbour, with 43 locks, was completed in 1804 at a cost well in excess of £1 million at that time. The opening of Ringsend Docks in 1796 was an occasion of great pageantry and fanfare. A well-known French travel writer, de Laternay, estimated the crowd as over 150,000. He also complained bitterly about the fares being charged to passengers as the dearest in Europe and twice those in Holland. The passenger boats carried 45 first-class passengers and 32 in second class. Smoking was prohibited in both cabins. The fare to Tullamore in 1798 was 10 shillings and 10 pence first class, which would be a small fortune in today's money. The boats themselves were 16 metres, 52 feet long. Alcohol was limited to 1 pint of wine or porter per passenger. However, the board of directors of the Grand Canal Company on an inspection trip suspended this rule for 1 day only. In all, 260 kilometres of canal was constructed. With the completion of branch lines to the Barrow navigation, Ballinasloe, Edenderry, Kilbeggan and elsewhere, the Grand Canal became a main artery of trade and commerce and contributed to the development of towns and villages along its banks. Some of these owe their very existence to the canal. Certainly there would be very different places today if the engineers had chosen a different route over 200 years ago. In the early days of the canal, Dublin was the second most important city in the British Empire and the 7th largest city in the world. The canal boats carried grain, peat, coal and industrial goods. One boatman described himself as being in the bricks and potato trade. It was the Grand Canal that allowed enterprises like Boland's Mills, Tullamore and Locke's distilleries, as well as other enterprises, to thrive. Indeed, the world-famous Guinness Brewery owes much of its early success to the access provided by the canal. It also used the soft, clear water from the canal to brew its famous product. At the same time, hotels were opened in Shannon Harbour, Tullamore, Sallins, Robertstown and Portobello, which was the Dublin terminus for the passenger service. The records of the Grand Canal Company also provide reminders of more tragic times in the country's history. In the mid-1840s, they show a huge decrease in the shipment of grain and corn from the Midlands, mirrored by a massive increase in passenger numbers. Tens of thousands of people were emigrating, to escape the ravages of the Great Famine. Around the same period, the waterways themselves began their slow decline. Competition from the railways saw the closure of passenger traffic in 1860. However, despite the expansion of the rail network around the waterway system, the Grand Canal managed to carry goods for almost another century. The last canal boat laden with Guinness left James's Street Harbour bound for Limerick in 1960. The outlook for the Grand Canal was bleak. One of Ireland's greatest engineering achievements appeared to have no future. In the 1970s, the very existence of the canal was threatened. Conservationists successfully fought proposals that it be filled in to create a motorway. Over time, a new role emerged, boats and boating having made a welcome return. The establishment of Waterways Ireland has guaranteed the future of the canals through its management, development and promotion of Ireland's inland waterways. The Grand Canal offers an unrivaled, tranquil and serene experience for the boater, walker or angler, and has become an important tourism and recreational amenity. Over the centuries, its clear and peaceful waterways have evolved into an important ecosystem, rich in flora and fauna. Otters and waterfowl live on its banks, and its waters are home to many species of coarse fish. Both walkers and boat users experience the many natural and man-made wonders of the canal. All of these things make the Grand Canal special. It is a time machine that enables us to understand the rural ecology and history of Ireland. In Kavanagh's words, "Leafy with love banks and the green waters of the canal pouring redemption for me." Like other canals, the Grand Canal is one of the few man-made features that truly enhances the natural landscape.